Hey Bob, how are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. How's Laura doing?
She's she was up all night.
Yeah,
She
I'm not
went
sure.
she finally laid down and I just went in there and told her it was almost 5:30, so I'm not sure if she's gonna come out or not. She's
Yeah,
not getting very much sleep.
yeah, yeah.
But I know she has another one at 7.
Another meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, coordinator meeting. Yeah.
yeah. That's it.
I don't get the link for that one. I don't know if that's a recurring link or what, but
I believe it is.
it is. Okay. I can probably look at the last one.
Because I thought Laura um sent you it.
Yeah, I think she texted it to me last week, so I'll just go back and look for that.
One of them days, don't feel like doing nothing.
Nice day though.
I really enjoyed that training on set last, well, not last Saturday, I guess it was Saturday, whenever it was. Um, I think it worked out real well.
The Arkansas.
No, I'm talking about the one we had.
Oh, the militia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to get down there for about 45 minutes. Yeah, it looked like they had everything really tight. Looked pretty good.
Yeah, every presentation was done very well.
That's great. That's fantastic.
And Laura even got to detox Austin's wife.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
it's on our or it's supposed to be. I guess I have to ask Joe, but it's supposed to be on our website.
Yeah, I looked on the website. I didn't see it, but that was a few days ago. Maybe
So
heading
they
up.
were trying to get it together as far as Laura did some on her phone and Justin did some on his phone, and then Joe did some on his phone. So it was a matter of getting it all together. So I don't know if they've done that or not. But um, Chris, Chris and Todd went down to the water and got a bucket of the water right out of the lake or whatever the heck that is, a tailwater. And Chris did that demonstration with his filtering system, and it came out. And Justin drank some of it. He said it tasted great.
No way.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
we used to do that when we'd go up north to Boundary Waters. Some of the kids would bring um, filters. Some would bring the tablets. But if I was out in the middle of the lake or something, I would just put my water bottle about a foot underneath the top and drink right out of it.
Oh yeah.
And I never got sick at all.
Okay.
But the water is so much cleaner up there because they only allow so many people in it for each permit. So you don't have a bunch of people trudging through the area, and you can only have 9 at a campsite, and they're spread apart, at least quarter-mile apart. But yeah, I mean, some of the lakes I wouldn't drink, but on this real big one called St. Croix, it was right on the border of Canada, and yeah, that water was nice, real nice.
That's awesome.
Did you watch that that thing that Laura sent out from the Arkansas
Yeah, I
Assembly?
watched the Arkansas. Yeah, I watched the setting up the courts thing several times. 'Cause
Gotcha.
that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, they had a lot of good information. I know there's controversy on they're getting some information from that. I guess his name is Brandon Williams, whatever. I just don't like listening to the guy because every word out of his mouth it seems like he's swearing,
Yeah.
and I know that stirred up a lot of ill feelings when Laura sent it out, but she didn't go over and listen to everything he said, but she knows he swears, and she don't like it either. And I mean, I don't think anybody likes it.
Well, my whole take on that was we're all grown-ups here, and we all know Laura and her. Hi, Laura. We all know her intentions are good, and that she's a holy person. And you know, as grown-ups, we need to have a little bit of discretion, I think, and some latitude with our leaders. So I thought it was a whole lot of stuff about small potatoes, but that was my take on it. Hey, Austin, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
My wife's on it. Very good. Just to let you know, she was able to make it.
Remind me of.
Is this a general? This is a general.
Sorry.
I was asking if this is a general meeting.
The Jural Assembly.
Okay. All right.
Remind me of your wife's name again. Thought Anita would be joining us.
Yeah, she usually does.
Oh, that might be her right there. Bob, are you all versed on the radios? Did Joe do the presentation on the radios?
Yes, he did.
Or did y'all have previous knowledge of the radios, or was that new stuff for you?
No, I didn't have. He had several different ones. I'm definitely not versed with all of those, but he did have the one that he said that uh the not the peacekeeping force, but anyway, they have them available. Um, and I think they were like 70% off or something like that for people in the assembly.
Okay.
That was the one that he called. He called Utah with. No, he called Nevada with that one.
Did he
And
really?
crystal clear.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Well, good. We can get started. Anita's here. Hi, Anita.
Is that all you're waiting on?
Yeah, I was waiting on you. No, that's glad to hear.
I was driving. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
I was ready to go.
All right. Well, welcome. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Kentucky Jural Assembly meeting for September 8th, 2024. Welcome to everybody. My name is Tom Glick. I'm the Jural Assembly chairman, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be here in the process of setting up our Jural Assembly pillar.
Okay.
I'm gonna screen share for the Bivens decision. If I could get a volunteer to read the Bivens decision. And everybody see the assembly there.
I would do it, but I can't read that little writing.
Okay, all right, and maybe I'll just do it because that's about as big as I can make it.
I know I tried to blow it up when you put stuff on there. So
Yeah,
I use a magnifying glass,
Oh.
and I could read most of the stuff, but even the magnifying glass doesn't help me with this little writing.
All right, I'll read it. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner to eliminate all conflict and false allegations. Is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Additionally, are there any U.S. citizens or citizens of the United States present? Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. If they subsequently show up as federal witnesses, they are discredited for failure to disclose. Is there any response to the Bivens decision? All right, our agenda for tonight. What I wanted to do was, since that I thought that Arkansas Jural Assembly meeting, the all-state meeting was really good and had a whole lot of information, and so I wanted to kind of give y'all a chance to just talk about anything that stuck out to you or that you'd like to review or discuss. So a few minutes to just kind of spitball that meeting, and then I wanted to talk today about their process of setting up their courts and see if we can fine tune it maybe for ourselves. At a minimum, get our list set up. So I kind of printed out and I emailed it to everybody real late, but to get started on our process to set up our courts so we can have something in writing. So maybe go over some of that. And then I don't have anything from the excellence of common law today, but what I did want to discuss was how to distribute that distribute either the book or the ebook. Kind of needed to have that discussion before our General Assembly meeting last week, but I think we need to bring to the General Assembly our process of how we see that book being distributed and how that's going to play out. So we can talk about that a little bit. First off, the Arkansas Jural Assembly all-state meeting. Kind of want to discuss that and let y'all talk about what y'all thought about anything that stuck out to you, or was it worth our time? I thought it definitely was, but I'll open the floor to y'all. Austin, were you on that meeting?
Which one did you say? The Florida one?
It was the Arkansas all-state Jural Assembly meeting. Was that last Tuesday, right?
I believe I was. I've been to so many, it's hard to keep count of really what's going on, but I'm pretty sure I was in that one.
Anita, I know you and Bob were on there. Anything that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I was just glad to hear that we go ahead and start implementing our the Jural Assembly. So I was thinking our meeting was next week, but anyway, I was going to go ahead and compose a letter to send out to all the Kentuckians and just start the process of getting the nominations and telling them which people which officers we have to elect. And if it's all right with the people on the call tonight, I'll just go ahead and compose a letter and send it to you for clarification, and then we'll just get Justin to go ahead and send it out and get the nominations, because they all have to be vetted, and just go from there. Let them know that they have to be vetted, and we'll have to announce it in the paper, public notice, and just give them a little information and start taking nominations, if that's all right with everybody.
Absolutely. Now, Laura and I looked into publishing something in the paper, and they want an outrageous amount of money for that. I thought their idea of going to public radio and have them announce this, we're going to have our elections, and give people 30 days, put stuff up in stores, on their bulletin boards, put something up in the library. Because we looked into the newspaper and they wanted like $600, and if you got to do it twice, that's $1,200 just to put something in their paper.
Yeah, all it has to be is public notice. So
that was $600 for 30 days.
$600. And I think that was only a week.
Oh.
It was outrageous. It's like almost like they don't want you to do it, to be honest with you. Because she typed out something, and and put it in, and went on their website and put in what she wanted to say, and that's the price that came back. By you.
So, yeah, since we're started talking about that, I'll just go ahead and pull this up. This is can y'all see this? How to set up our courts?
Yes.
I basically recreated what they were sharing on their meeting, and I kind of it's basically exactly what they had. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit, but like you were talking about, the first thing they did, and Anita, you mentioned this a while ago, was that 30-day public notice that our assembly will be holding elections and looking for candidates. And like you mentioned, Bob, the public radio announcement, posting notices at libraries and other bulletin boards across the state. And they mentioned they took pictures of everything as proof. Now, one of the questions I had was public radio coverage. Is it a requirement to have that radio broadcast over the whole state, or is it sufficient for it to just be one radio station, and no matter how broad its coverage is? Anyone have any insight on that public radio bit?
no, I don't know anything about that.
Because I would imagine if we were to be audited, that would be one of the questions. Which radio station was it broadcast across the whole state? And I don't know if that's a requirement or not, but I didn't hear that as part of the meeting.
Well, it might be too, if Bob and Laura were going to put something in the paper. I don't know, Bob, were you checking with the Louisville paper? It might be a lot cheaper if we stick with the local county papers. Was
Yeah,
that
that
with
was,
the Louisville paper?
yes.
Well, like I said, it might be, we can just get with the county papers.
So,
They should be a lot cheaper.
so once again, along those lines, is that a requirement to have that in every county's paper? I mean, you're talking 100, was it 120 counties?
Well, what Arkansas said they did was the ones where the nationals and the citizens are, you didn't have to do every county, just where you had assemblymen.
Okay.
So, I mean, we just check it out. But like they said, they went to the libraries, and as long as it's a public notice, it doesn't matter if it's in the paper or not. You just have to, take pictures and verify that you had public noticed.
Okay, I've got their email address, and I'll go ahead and send a bunch of these questions their way. As far as code, one question I did have, as far as talking about all this, is this something that we need to do within the confines of an election committee, or do we want to kind of talk about this today and have a separate election committee meeting, or how do we want to?
I think right now it just be a combination of both. I think
We can kind of spitball it today and then take it to the election committee for a kind of a detailed, get all the details together.
Do we have an election committee, or are we the election committee and Jural Assembly meeting committee?
Yeah, it's something we probably need to figure out if we want to take the next step is get our election committee set up, so we can at least say that we've got that part of it. Anyone have a interest in leading the election committee? We could take a vote on it tonight and have our election committee established.
Well, maybe with that letter, I can put something in there about we need volunteers for the election committee to, make sure it's a fair election. If we could do it that way.
Yep. Okay. That's great.
Well, yeah, because we need more people, because it's the same people doing most of the work. So we need people to step up to be on the election committee, because I don't know that it would be right if each one of us is going to go for a position and we're the election committee and we're going to vote on it. I don't know if that would be right.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bob. However, Justin says, Phil, we're all filling a role, and so my take on it is, if we got to do all the jobs, and with 4 or 5, 6 of us, then that's the way it goes. Laura, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I put a link where you can post worldwide in the chat.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
I put a link where you can post stuff like our elections. It's a worldwide thing. I put it in the chat.
Okay, great. So got the radio, and I'll ask a question about coverage and posting notices. Once again, that library. So the only counties we have to cover are the ones where there's American state nationals. Did I hear that right?
That was my understanding.
Okay.
I mean, if there's nobody in those counties to vote, I mean, what would be the point?
Well, that's a good point. Bulletin boards, anywhere in particular that those bulletin boards would need to be? Is that talking about county offices, state offices? As far as putting up a notice and taking a picture of it.
I would think the courthouses and the libraries would be the best places.
Okay. All right, the next thing they talked about was emailing all the ASNs a list of all the offices being elected and the office descriptions. And those who want to be considered as candidates must have their name posted to the assembly by a certain date, whatever date we decide. And she also mentioned that they gave a phone call to everyone on the list as well, which makes sense. Two different ways of contacting. Make sure you've covered everyone. So we can definitely make that happen, and that'll probably be an attach. You know, your letter, Anita, would probably be attached to that email.
You might want to ask them too, when you send the email, whether or not, I know they said they had voting on the Zoom call, but you're going to have a lot of people that don't know how to get on the Zoom call. So, I mean, we've always had elections for the assembly in the past with the, send out an email and they send an email back to vote. So we might need to find out if that would be legal or not. We gave them a certain time to make sure they got their vote in.
Okay. While we're talking about Zoom, they had mentioned Huddle. Are y'all familiar with Huddle, and is that something we need to investigate? She mentioned the breakout room for the jury. So I guess while you're having court, you would do it in an open meeting space, and then from there you could take a certain amount of people and go to a private part of the call where everyone else would be excluded. So is that an option with Zoom, or do we need to investigate Huddle as an option for our courts?
I don't have an answer to that. I don't know a lot about Zoom. I just know how to click the link.
Yeah, me too.
I just think we're getting too many things going on. I think, like if you're holding court or a meeting, if you have to have a closed account, you just, ask everybody else to leave. You know who's on the call if you're going to have a closed meeting or not. I just think there's too much, too many apps on my phone. I know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll ask the question about Huddle, see if I can get some more information from Arkansas on that one.
I mean, like I said, all you have to do is say we're going to have a private meeting and ask everybody else to leave. You know who's on there. So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then the next thing they did, which I thought was really awesome, is they had a statewide event, and I'm guessing that was an in-person event at a convention center type place. And,
yeah, it was in person.
Okay, thanks, Bob. And that was 30 days later. So they send the notice out, email, call everybody, and 30 days after that, they have an event where anyone who wants to be considered for bondsman, sheriff, all the positions can speak to whoever's there, and so I thought that was a really great idea. It's probably something we want to mimic as well, and something to think about. Where would we do that? Where would be a good place to make that happen? My first thought is down there at Townsville Lake, where we had the militia meeting. Probably that pavilion. I don't know if that would be the right spot or not, size wise. something to keep on your radar. Number 4, they bought space in the paper. My first question was, what paper was that? And that's a question that I'll ask when I email. What newspaper did they use? And for the 30 days public notice of the election and the candidates, she talked about how the newspaper didn't run the ad, and they had to publicize the election by going to the libraries and other bulletin boards in as many counties as possible. They took pictures as proof. So I suppose we need to anticipate the same thing, that the newspapers aren't going to print our thing. So the backup then is do whatever you can, I suppose. If the newspapers aren't going to cooperate, well, then we just do the best we can and take pictures so we can prove that we've given public notice. And they held their election. So another 30 days later, I think, after the candidates had an opportunity to speak, they gave folks time to think about it. And then 30 days later, so now we're at 60 days, they held their election. And she said they, at the same time they held the election, they put forth their 25-member grand jury. So holding that election, how do we want to operate that? Anita mentioned emails. We're not going to be able to do everyone on a Zoom. So we need to be thinking, and I'll ask that question too. What's another option if we don't want to do Zoom or Huddle or something that high tech, a lower tech option for voting? Hey Todd, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry I'm late. I wanted to be able to jump on. I figured better late than never.
Yeah, great to have you. Thanks. I'll run back. Well, we did a quick review of the Arkansas All-State Jural Assembly meeting, and part of that meeting was they showed their list of how to set up their courts, and I kind of massaged their production for us, just something to work with, and I'll clean this up and based on the inputs tonight and have ours ready to go so everybody can take a look at it. And so we talked about 30-day public notice that we're going to be doing elections, radios, and bulletin boards, libraries, emailing everyone, phone calling everyone, letting them know that positions are available if they want to be considered a statewide event. Then 30 days later, to give everyone an opportunity to state their case, and then 30 days public notice of the election, and then hold the election. So we're on number 5 right now. We just kind of talked about how to conduct that election. Anita said that not all the ASNs out here in Kentucky are going to be able to navigate a Zoom meeting for an election. So maybe we do it via email if that's an option, or maybe we're just down to phone, calling everyone. So that's another question I can ask Arkansas, what the options are for a lower speed voting process.
So they're up and running then in Arkansas?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, she said that number 5 there, it says they held their election on whatever day. She said that day their courts were considered up and running as they had their grand jury. They did that on the same day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so pretty cool stuff. She did note that you don't have to be ASC to be on the grand jury. You do have to be ASC to be considered for any of the offices for the elections. Number 6, on a certain day. So I think it was only like 4 days later. So they had their election, number 5 there, and then number 6, I think it was 4 days later. She said they mailed out their 500-page ex parte Milligan packet. When I heard 500 pages, that kind of blew me away a little bit. But she said she had all the list of the folks that they mailed their packet to. So that's something to keep on our radar, is what does that ex parte Milligan packet look like? And then number 7, they publicly posted the results of their elected officers, and I'm guessing they did that the same way, maybe newspaper, same bulletin boards. So another thing to keep on our radar to think about is in our counties around us, where are some places that we could do these postings for when we get ready. So that's kind of my take on what Arkansas had, which I thought was great. I really think this needs to be part of the Jural Assembly handbook, like Appendix A, right? How to set up your courts, 1 through 7. So bravo to Arkansas for putting that out there. Any other comments? I'll almost continue to massage this a little bit, and I'll when I get something, I'll send it out to y'all. Y'all can take a look at it, and then I'll have it ready to post out to the General Assembly. Any questions on that? Anything to add as far as the whole setting up the? I mean, this is really putting the first brick in our pillar. Todd, we talked about the election committee. So the election committee is kind of where we're going to get all the details taken care of for this, how to set up our court process. So we're going to need to have the election committee stood up, and then we'll have an election committee meeting and take care of all these details of dates and where postings and newspapers and how we're going to pay for all that. So all those details will come through the election committee meeting. Anything else to add on this?
May I, Tom?
Sure, please.
So they had the 25-member grand jury. Did they go in and talk about like how many people? Because my assumption is my understanding is we only have like around 100 or so ASNs. Because that was one of the things I discussed when we had our training day. And of course, you had to leave early, but like getting access to the ASNs that we have to reach out to them, because basically I've only seen like maybe 15, 20 max. I mean, where's the other 80 at, or however many there are? I'm just wondering how these other states, with their numbers and making it work. If we got to have 25, grand jury, but we only ever see maybe at the max 18 to 20, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nina.
What my understanding was last time we were trying to do this several years ago was when I write this letter up for the nominations, I will also ask for people who will stand up on grand jury or petit jury to be on the jury. So we would just try to obtain a list of people that we could call on. So, and Justin said he would send out the letter to everybody that's, accepting emails. So we'll just have to go by that. Just ask for people to stand up on a jury. I yield.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is folks probably maybe they aren't informed, maybe they aren't getting the information that this is going on. So maybe that letter, and then when we send that email out to everyone, all the ASNs, we'll send this how to set up our courts, so give them an idea how the process works. And then when folks hear about elections and looking for candidates, that might peak interest as well to show up and put their and be a part of it. So hopefully hopefully when we start actually getting some traction here and actually start building a little bit, maybe there'll be a little more interest. So
I do know that some ASNs, when they papered up, they just wanted to disappear. So hopefully we'll be able to find enough people to stand the jury up. And, it's just, like I said, hopefully there'll be enough to realize that if we don't have the jury, they get in trouble. They won't have anything to fall back on. So I'll just try to plead with them a little bit when I write the letter.
yeah, maybe there's something we can add as well. If it doesn't fit in with your letter, maybe it's something else we can add, attach the email, how important the jury is. Maybe another state already has something that they could share that would illustrate the importance of having the grand jury.
I guess what I should do is just make 2 letters up, one for the jury and one for the nominations. Probably be best so they don't have to read so much. So I'll
Okay.
just do that.
All right.
Hey, Tom.
Go ahead, Todd.
So I'm going to say this, and I hope I say this and it comes off correctly, because sometimes you say things and it may not. I don't want it to come off too harsh, maybe. But the way I look at it, reaching out to people, and I think about the kind of the old, adage or whatever, that you're only as strong as your weakest link, if you think kind of like of a chain. And I think of, our weakest links are those that aren't participating. And that's no different. And I use this. I'll use the church analogy because I use it all the time. I've seen this my entire life. Usually, you have 10% of the people doing 90% of the work, and that's no different here. I see it the same way here. But everybody seems. Well, I'll say everybody. Anybody that's gone through the paperwork has done that for a reason. And I like, Anita said some of these people kind of want to just like disappear, but one of the things that encouraged me is like, I can't sit back and expect Tom and Austin and Anita, Laura and Bob to do all the work and me just sit back and receive all the benefits because you guys have done all the work. I've got to put forth effort. That's the way I feel about it is that's why it made me think about the whole chain analogy is that, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if we've got all these weak links because they're just, sitting back or waiting for somebody else to do it, I'm trying to think of a way we could present that in a positive light, not a negative, if that makes any sense. How can we explain that type of an analogy, but do it in an encouraging way? That, hey, we need you. You are part of the link, but if you can step up, because we were just talking about this morning in church, that if everybody would do just a little bit, it would make it so much easier for everybody else. And for some reason, people just don't get that in general. It's just like, okay, and everybody's got full plates. Everybody's got this and that going on, and you're only going to do what you want to do. But anyway, I'm trying to think of, or maybe spark ideas amongst you all who are serving. How can we be encouragers to those fellow men and women so that they would jump on board? And like I say, we're not asking them to take on maybe a full role or whatever, but just do a little bit. Every little bit helps. I yield.
No, that's
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
go ahead, Bob.
We have to convey the message that just because you've changed your status, that does not help you in any way if we don't have our pillars up.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Yeah. That's true, Bob.
That's right.
Yeah. So I was just had a thought while you were saying that, Todd, that maybe this case that's ongoing in Arkansas right now, where this woman's been locked up for 180 days, if we could, if there's some kind of positive outcome to that case, or at least tell folks, hey, listen, here's a case for an ASN, and if our courts were set up, or if Arkansas's courts are set up, here's how this could be drastically different. And here's how your life could be so much different if our courts were stood up, but we can't do it without you. Volunteer to be a jury person. Here's what's going to be required. And we have our own court set up and avoid these kind of terrible circumstances. Laura?
I didn't think that they had a choice on being on the jury. I thought if they were status corrected, it was kind of like de facto. They'd be called and just, so that was
No.
just my impression. If anybody's got anything to add, please do.
No, I don't think that's right, but I'll just try to employ to them in the letter that, you know, in order to be free, we have to have the court system up. And if they were to get pulled over, you know, for their own benefit, to not pay for license and tags and insurance and all that, we have to have the court up and running, because if their courts take them in, it's going to be a lot worse. That's why we have to get our court system put up. So I'll just try to set it up as a scenario, and, you know, they probably don't care about that lady in Arkansas, but when it comes down to them getting in trouble or their family members getting in trouble, you know, I think that's where I need to connect with them.
Yeah, kind of where the rubber meets the road, where it hits home. You know, that's
Right. I mean, you're not
it's,
going to be able to force anybody to participate in anything, but, you know, they need to understand that, you know, when I got into it, it didn't take me long to realize you have to have the foundation of the government up and running, because you don't have any safety measures at all till that gets up. So I'll just, like I said, I'll try to explain it to them a little bit deeper and let them know that we're on the edge of getting it all established, where we'll have more freedoms than they have right now.
yeah, that sounds good, Anita. And I'm just trying to think of how, you know, when we encourage people
Right. Yeah.
to do it in a loving way, where like they really understand that they're needed. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Right.
that
Yeah.
we're trying to force you to do something, but we need you. And if you come alongside, it'd be like us picking up a big boulder. You know, if it's 200 pounds and I can't, you know, pick it up by myself, but all of us jump in there together and we can pick it up. You know, if they can see that it just, you know, it's possible with group effort, but it's impossible with either, you know, one or two, you know, that type of thing. Anyway,
Right. I mean, it's a common goal for everybody. Once we get it up and established, you won't have to participate, but we need everybody to jump in and get it up and running. You know, it's just our common goal, what we're all working for. I mean, we all, like you said, we all have our issues during the week, but, you know, we got to focus on a few hours a month to get this up and running. So, but I don't think you were on the call a while ago, Todd, but I told him that I'd go ahead and write these letters up and send them to Tom for him to look over, and then we can go ahead and get it sent out instead of, you know, bringing the letter back to the next meeting. Just let Tom okay them and we'll get them sent out.
that sounds great.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Todd. With rubber hits the road, you know, it has to really speak to someone personally for them to raise their hand. And I think they have to know what's going to be involved, right? So that's where they sent out the email to all this ASNs, a list of all the offices being elected and the office descriptions. You know, if somebody knows exactly what's involved and maybe how much time, here's what a jury member has to do, here's how much time can potentially be involved. and here are the benefits. As specific, as detailed as we can make it for folks.
I mean, most of it probably already sit on a jury, you know, in their lifetime already. I know I have. So it's not a big deal just to put your name on a list and we can call you if we need you. It's not something that you have to, you know, dedicate your life to, but if we need you, we need to be able to know who we can call on.
Right.
You know, since none of us have been common law jurors, we don't know anything about it. One thing I forgot to discuss was that vocation science of freedom website. So I'm gonna definitely start digging into that website, and maybe there's some information on what a common law jurist is responsible for, what that looks like, and some of the responsibilities maybe we could share with somebody. So if y'all want that that link, I can maybe try to pull that up real quick and send it out to you.
I know another thing we haven't talked about. I know when California had their convention and their elections and everything, I mean, they did go to a convention center and do all that, but they also had a constitution written up where all the officers signed it. So, you know, we need to look in to see what the other states are calling constitutions. So,
Okay. That's a great, yeah, I didn't think about that.
it might be that, you know, since we're a commonwealth, it might be that our state constitution is old enough to be, you know, the Federal Republic Constitution. I don't know, but I'll try to ask some of them what they did.
I think the state constitution for Kentucky was changed or altered later.
Right.
I can't think the actual year or time frame, but
Is there has to be a copy of the original one though, right?
it should
Somewhere.
be.
Yeah.
So just something we'd have to look into and figure out, but kind of see maybe, you know, how it was changed and maybe figure out why it was changed, or kind of go
Right.
from there.
Is that a Jural Assembly responsibility or area, or is that more of a general?
No, I think it belongs to the Jural Assembly with the election and everything. Unfortunately, Jural Assembly seems to be pretty fat.
Okay, anything else on how to set up our courts for now? I think what I'd like to do, and if y'all are okay, is our next General Assembly meeting, I think, is Tuesday. Is that correct?
We're doing the every 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah. So is our next one this coming Tuesday, since last Tuesday was the Arkansas?
Yes. Yes.
What I'd like to do is present the election committee at the General Assembly portion of the General Assembly meeting, and see if there's any interest in the election committee. Because I think the next thing we want to do, at least in my mind, is take this, how to set up our courts, fine tune it, get it set up for us, and then take it to the election committee and let the election committee deep dive on some of these details and put these lists together, candidates, where we're going to be posting things, possible newspapers to use, radio stations, all the counties that are affected, where are our ASNs, and what counties do we need to cover. So kind of getting the weeds on a lot of these details. I think that's, to me, in my mind, that's the purview of the elections committee. So I'll throw that out there on Tuesday. if that's something that we want to do for our next step with this. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds reasonable to me.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So let's see. The last thing I had to do on the agenda for today was, let's see. Go. The excellence of common law, just kind of discuss that real quick. I apologize for bringing that up, kind of disorganized and not really have a plan at the last General Assembly meeting. But I think that's something that we need to kind of figure out how we want to, if we do want to distribute this common law book, what's that going to look like, and get some of the details out there and bring to the next meeting on a little tighter package of how that's going to work. So any comments on, I mean, is this something we should make available to anyone at the General Assembly who is interested? Do we give people the option of having a hard copy book, which is $80, or do we just make the digital available? Or what are y'all's thoughts on getting this this book to folks?
I would think just have the ebook available to anybody, you know, and then if somebody wants to put the money out to buy it, they can buy it on their own. I mean, I don't think we need to be buying a book for everybody if you've got the ebook available. I mean, I don't know much about ebooks, but can more than one person at a time read them? I would think so, couldn't they?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with Anita just for the fact that, I mean, I don't know what the ebooks, cost, but again, you're looking at 80. Now, I'm a person, I like a actual book in front of me. So I'm going to be the person that buys the book just because I want to have a physical copy of it. I can read the computer, but I don't particularly like it. And so that's just my own personal preference. Some people prefer computers or whatever over that. But I think if you gave them that option, I don't know what, like I said, what the ebook costs, but it would definitely be more cost effective for the Jural Assembly to undertake that. I yield.
Yeah, I think the ebook was $40, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we had talked about seeing what other states had done, and I'm going to send an email out to Arkansas tomorrow with all these questions, and that's one of them that I'll ask, is if they've done that with their assembly, has made it available. And but I like the idea of saying at the next General Assembly meeting, we'd like to make the ebook available to anyone who wants it. Send me an email or text, or somehow notify me, and then we can make that happen. If y'all are comfortable with that, we can at least make that first step happen and then go from there. But I like that idea, Anita. Anything else on the distribution of the excellence of common law?
I mean, you might consider too, Tom. I mean, you might consider buying a hard copy too, but then you'd have to be, keeping track of it for the ones that want to borrow it. But, I think it would be more convenient, I think, for the ebook. But I'm like Todd, I like to have a book in my hand, but,
Yeah, I've been taking notes, highlighting stuff, flagging pages, so I can go back. I mean, it's an enormous book, right? And the print is so small, so you have to. I don't know how I would do that with an ebook. I guess you could. I'm not that tech savvy, but for me, having the hard copy is nice. The important thing is to get it to people so they can they can have it available if they want it, because our jurists, everybody involved with our courts is going to have to know this stuff. I mean, not just, hey, I looked at a couple of pages or I watched a couple videos. I mean, we're going to have to know this stuff. Otherwise, we're not going to have any credibility, because people are going to be watching us. And if we don't show up ready to do it for real and do it professionally and with confidence and look like we know what we're doing, we're just not going to have much credibility. And we got to hit a home run. Yeah, I mean, this is, first impressions are everything.
And you've also got too a lot of other assemblies have it on. They had audio recordings when they were going over it. So I mean, we can always make sure we have those links available to people that have a hard time reading or whatever. They can listen to them. So that's another thought.
Yeah, we have to have answers too. Whatever decisions we make, whatever we rule on or anything like that, we have to be prepared for somebody to question us, and we've got to be prepared to have the answers to satisfy them.
Well, I would just think that if we all agree on it, just have the assembly buy the ebook and then just let them know that we're going to send out links to people that want to listen to audio recordings from other assemblies, and that should do it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because I know that the Iowa Assembly, they've been just reading it word for word. So that's a good link to have. Yeah.
Right, and she's really easy to listen to too, so that'd be a good one to put out there.
I was referring to the common law, and but when we get to that point and we make a ruling on somebody's case or whatever the case may be, and somebody questions why we did this, why we said that, we need to be prepared with the answers and not just say, well, because that's what I felt like. So we got to have facts.
Yeah, so we like you're saying, we have to know where it's written. Is that what you're saying, Bob? Or at least giving a point to something. Right. That makes sense. Okay, so at the next General Assembly meeting, I'll put that out there. We're gonna make the ebook available to anyone who wants it, and then we'll incorporate somehow the links to maybe the Iowa Assembly readings of the common law book. Anything else? Comments, questions, additions? I'm pretty excited. Kudos to Laura for putting together that meeting with Arkansas. I thought it was exactly what we needed. Yeah, to put the first brick in place. So at least we've got some traction now, and we can make some progress. So that was great teamwork there. That's what we're here to do. We're all here to be a team and a family and help each other out and get this thing going. So that was awesome. Our next meeting's 2 weeks, September 22nd at 5:30. Thank you all for being here. And if there are nothing else to add for today, we'll get a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn.
A second.
Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks, Tom, for your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate y'all being here. Can't do it without you, so keep coming back.
Thanks, Tom.
We're gonna get this done. It's exciting. I'm excited. So I'll enjoy the rest.
That sounds like an AA meeting.
Hey, Melissa. We're just about to knock it off. We just got a motion to adjourn, but
No, I was here for a little bit of it, so
Okay,
nonetheless.
great. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Keep
Have a
coming
blessed
back.
night, everyone.
Have a great time. See you, everybody.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
See y'all. Be safe.